Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Anton Reese, and I continue to have the privilege of serving as president of West Kentucky Community Technical College. Certainly, it's a pleasure to have all of you here today. I know that several of you are involved in the Advisory Council, which plays a very critical role in keeping our faculty engaged and up to date with the demands within the various industries. Certainly seeing some of our former faculty, Bill Nash, Paul, Bill Murphy. Really great seeing you guys, staying connected with us. Just by way of observation, October 9th, maybe just a couple of weeks ago in this very setting, we had the governor and members of his executive cabinet. He held a town hall meeting and by way of his comments, continued to reiterate the significance of Kentucky being the epicenter, if you will, for advanced manufacturing and engineering. And as we sit, we offer clearly both of those. So this opportunity today from the Haas Foundation continues to indicate the trust that our partners have in preparing students, including those coming from the ATCs, getting more students aware early of the incredible opportunities through CMM and other programs, and certainly the certifications making them more competitive on the other side as they get that training. So with that, it gives me great privilege then to introduce Mr. Phil Ham, who will come forth from the Haas Foundation to share some comments. Just welcome Phil Hemming.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you all for coming out today. For some of you that don't know why you're here, it's because the company I work for, Haas Automation, which is owned by Gene Haas. Some of you might be familiar with Tony Stewart Haas Racing or the Formula One team. Well, Gene Haas started in 1983 with a shop smaller than any of my customers' shops here in the room. He had a small little grinding shop, and he came up with a stepper motor for making a rotary table for indexing the part, so that other companies that made machining centers could rotate the part and machine on it. That was 1983. In 1988, Gene Haas decided to start making machining centers, or at least he made one. They called it the VF1. That stood for the very first one. He took it to the Machine Tool Show in Chicago in 1988. You had Morisiki with a booth about as big as this room. You had Cincinnati Millicron. You had Mazak. You had all these Japanese and foreign builders. Well, little old Gene Haas thought he was going to make machine tools. So he made a machine tool called a VF1, a 20 by 16 vertical machining center, not much different than what you see behind me. And he came back to Oxnard, California with 37 orders. And he had to figure out how to make the second one. So long story short, he was successful. He kept making them, and now we're the largest machine tool builder in North America, probably pretty much the only truly American-made CNC machine tool. And all of our competitors are still South Korean, Japanese, Taiwanese, Chinese. And so, Gene Haas is extremely patriotic and grateful for, all that he's been, blessed to have achieved. And one of the ways that he gives back is by giving money to programs like here at West Kentucky. To date, Gene Haas has given $52 million in similar checks to other colleges. And it's always in this form. It's never a big $100,000, it's never a $1 million check. It's always these small, relatively small checks to schools so that they know best how to use them. And the way this money is going to be spent is on a couple of different ways they could spend it. If a kid wants a scholarship to take an intro to machining class or a drafting class, they could give him a scholarship. NIMS, I don't know if anybody's familiar with NIMS, the National Institute for Manufacturing Skills, Metalworking Skills. Thank you, Sam. So this is a credentialing program that costs money to get a certificate to say that the kid is qualified in blueprint reading or qualified in safety. So it's different ways to help these kids out that want to come in and learn machine tool. And it's not completely benevolent in the fact that we can't sell more Haas machines if we don't have kids that know how to do this. And I've got several customers here today that are begging, literally begging for kids to learn how to run a Haas or any kind of machine tool. And if you're ever talking to these kids, and I go to a lot of schools and I talk to these young kids, what I try to impress, and I mean, I don't try to make it sound like eating ice cream, you know, but it is, and Sam might disagree with me, but I always say it's 8th grade math and 9th grade geometry. And if a kid can learn how to measure and learn basic geometry, I think we can make them a machinist. And if you're talking to these kids, if you got a nephew or your friends, your son or daughter's friends are over to the school, you know, you could go on the Haas website. We've got hundreds of videos and show them how we cut a block of aluminum into a carburetor. Kids are fascinated by this. We have a booth every year. If any of you are in the old cars, the NSRA show is every year in Louisville, the National Street Rod Association. It's always the first weekend in August. If you're not at Fancy Farm, come to Louisville. It's always the same weekend as Fancy Farm. But we get free tickets if y'all want to come to Louisville. Anybody sees me after the show, gets my card, sends me an email. If you can come up, we get free tickets to go to this NRA show. We have a booth there with a couple of Haas machines, and we always make a bottle opener, or we'll make a wheel, or one year we made a bolt hole pattern gauge for guys that go out and buy rims. So we have a line of like 20 people lined up in front of our machine, watching us run the machines. And you go to any other booth at this NRA show, National Street Rod Show, they don't have anybody in the booth. People are they see value being added to raw material. That's what we do. We're adding value. And every time I explain it to these kids, I say, look, we got this piece of aluminum here for about $3 or $4. And this part we're making, I guarantee you, if we could sell it for $30 or $40. So we just added, $30-something worth of value to this piece of material by putting it in this machine, closing the door, hitting cycle start, waiting a couple of minutes, and taking it out. It's almost like printing money. I mean, that makes it sound a little bit easier than it really is. But literally, you could get a lot of these kids interested in this field if you would just talk to them about it, show them some videos, maybe bring them over here, let them meet Sam. And $10,000 isn't going to go very far. I know that's not going to buy a scholarship for every kid in the school, but we're just really glad to help the school out, and thank y'all for being a partner with us.